It is my great pleasure to greet my very good friends, Doctors Desiree and James J. Hurtak, in the summer of 2025 in the heart of Bosnia-Herzegovina at the Bosnian Pyramid district. We've been together on an 8-day conference about Bosnian and other pyramids around the world. And of course, I was so happy to hear them, to see them here, and also they were able to follow the progress on what we have here at the Bosnian Pyramid sites. They were coming here before, they were listening to my presentations, different sides of the planet, and I'd like to discuss with them more what they've learned now, what kind of impressions they're going to take with them. So who shall we start with? Let's start with J.J. Hurtak. If you can just introduce yourself with a few sentences.
I'm Dr. J.J. Hurtak, a social scientist, archaeologist, linguist, futurist, and remote sensing specialist. That is the use of airborne and ground penetrating radar, looking at environmental as well as archaeological targets. I've been connected with 2 universities and also work with a company called LaserTech in Brazil, which used very sophisticated laser systems and remote energy tracking systems to help the Brazilian authorities in the interior of the Amazon. My wife is my colleague for many years. Desiree, you can give a little brief overview.
Right. So my background is really in environmental public policy, and I've looked at various international cultures around the world, especially ancient cultures as well. And I think we're extremely impressed. We were here back in 2013 when there was much less that had been developed, because Dr. Sam only got involved in this in about 2005, something like that, 2005, 2006. And he has thoroughly developed everything. He has not only cleared more of the sides of the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon, so that you can literally see that there was man-made intelligence behind the change. This is the strange thing. You look at it from far away and everyone says, oh, it looks like a hill, but he's gone in the last, we'll say, actually it's been almost 20 years, which is amazing. You've cleared up the sides of the pyramid in a certain area, and you can see that these are blocks of clay and particles that are not just natural. This is the interesting thing. This is where the shift has to come with a lot of the archaeologists.
Let's realize that in every area of information, there's always going to be a great debate. There's not one single aspect of historic knowledge, philosophy, even the fine arts, where you do not have simply a resonance that everybody accepts something without a debate. That's the whole aspect of the movements of thought, particularly through the European perspective. But going back not 20 years, but 20,000 years, we have to acknowledge that the peoples of Eastern Europe originated not in East Europe, but in Central Asia. We know this through the Chinese, who have been digging up Xinjiang province, Western China, along the Silk Route. I was there as a guest of the Chinese Academy of Science in 1988, and I saw the specimens that were European, not Chinese, that were brought up from underneath the tundra. So we know that when Europe was covered by glacial ice for thousands of years, the Europeans were not in Europe, they were in Central Asia, and that land route brought them into East Europe. And so there's a connection between Bulgaria, Romania, the mountains of Czech Republic with this particular area.
Right, and so the most important thing is everyone says, well, who built this? Like, was it 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago? No, we are now finding pyramids all over the world that go back to what Sam is saying, which is 30,000 years ago, a prior time, a prior civilization.
So this mountain and the complex we call a pyramidal grid complex doesn't stand by itself. It's connected with tributaries of information that connect this part of Europe directly with underground findings now being made in Bulgaria and Romania and southern Russia.
Even Sardinia, I was just reading, has some amazing ancient artifacts. You don't realize how many ancient artifacts there are beyond what we can calculate in terms of our own
Well,
civilization.
simply put, in the Platonic solids, the pyramidal geometry is the most important because the pyramid can survive an earthquake. This is the model that we found also on our sister planet Mars. When Mars made the probe, I was one of the scientists connected with the image enhancements of the airborne documents. So putting this into a perspective, it is natural that people throughout history would want to make pyramids, and they made one here in Bosnia, and Dr. Sam was fortunate to be at the right time, the right place.
But they made more than one, so Dr. Sam, tell us.
JJ, last time we climbed the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun in 2013, you were standing there looking at those concrete blocks. And this is what you told me. Because of the discovery of the Bosnian pyramids, Egyptologists will need to change the definition of the pyramid.
Exactly. You see, Egyptologists represent what is commonly known to most historians and social scientists as what we call Romantic history. Egyptology is Romantic history. Speculation of the age of the pharaohs as a measuring stick, other situations that are secondary to the primal construct of architecture and the knowledge of why architecture is used. But the real meaning of the word pyramid means, in the Greek, fire in the middle. It means that when you are within the pyramidal architecture, you will have a fiery or a vibratory system that you will feel inside your body. And that is why, in addition to our work in Egypt in the 1970s and 80s, we were the first to do a musical enhancement in every room inside the Great Pyramid of Egypt, as we did here with the Sun Pyramid in Bosnia.
And the tunnels that you'll find, especially Tunnel 1, there's some great meditation.
And the results were the same. The energy rush that you will feel from an independent perspective. The pyramids are built on what we would call a psychophysical geometry, which enhances the power of the mind, enhances the energy of the body with this energy. It's acoustical reflections, as well as the tonal qualities of the ear to feel a great ease and relaxing atmosphere underground.
Right, so in addition to the meditation you'll experience in the tunnels, and really you can go in, you allow people just to go in, find their space, find their room, and do that quiet or slightly verbal meditation if you wish. But what's also interesting is that it's not just one pyramid. I think what Dr. Sam has shown, the geometry connected with the waterways of this area of Bosnia-Herzegovina ties into a sacred geometry of Phi, the 1.618, and it aligns the various pyramids, as you'll see, the pyramid of the sun, the tumulus, which is a spiral. All of us know about the energy of the spiral, or even the Kundalini energy. The pyramid of the moon, the more feminine aspect. Also, the pyramid of love. I love that. That's fabulous. Everyone should appreciate that. And then even the dragon, because the dragon energy is also present. It's like it's present even in the signs of medicine. They have that kind of serpent energy because that's part of the energy of the flow of our body. And
So
healing
let us give an overview quickly, because we're up next to a music concert,
which is
which
exciting.
is great. But this is the overview. The pyramids here in Bosnia have a sociological, a psychological, a mythological, and a cosmological perspective. There's not just a pyramid in the sense of Egyptology. This is not naked Egyptology. This is not naked pyramidology. It is a pyramidal society that historically was inspired to build pyramids that would have a musical, vibratory, psychological, and even a cosmic or theological perspective, which is why the pyramids are aligned with the stars, system. The belt of Orion, whether you are in South Africa with the Adams calendar arrangement, or whether you are in Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, where we have found musically, and we're also musicologists, that the vibrations of mantras in the pyramids of Mexico match those in Egypt and match those in Bosnia. So we have a musicological, acoustical, physical measuring stick that shows that this is more than a pyramid. It is a pyramidal experience.
And astroarchaeological, because the Pleiades is key here, according to Dr. Sam's research, which is the 7 sisters plus 2 additional stars. You notice on the flag of Bosnia, there's also 9 stars, putting them together. It's key also in the Mayan and Aztec culture, and we believe in terms of alignment with Orion, also in the Egyptian culture. So the stars were key because we feel we ultimately came from the stars. The technology is from the stars.
So the bottom line, Sam, is your critics have come from the standpoint of classical Egyptology, Romantic Egyptology, without the knowledge of what we represent in terms of paraphysics, in terms of remote viewing, remote sensing, and the use of musicology. This is why I urge you to get our books on the internet, Mind Dynamics in Space and Time.
And also Sam's books, which I couldn't believe how many books this gentleman has written about this topic.
Yes,
and
Sam has done remarkable scientific papers. His recent publications
and books,
are
papers and
superb.
books.
But what I'm saying to you, listen carefully. Mind Dynamics in Space and Time was co-authored with our late colleague, Dr. Elizabeth Rauscher, who worked at Stanford Research Institute. This is the greatest mind think tank in California. And our research covers 20 years of research that was sponsored by naval intelligence and even the CIA, showing the ability of mind over matter, showing the reality that we are multidimensional humans, showing the fact that we are interested and influenced by acoustic, by everything is vibrations, and the pyramids exemplify the gathering as a vortex. So without this, you can argue till the cows go home. You can argue regarding the price of peanuts in Hong Kong. These are absurd arguments that people should overlook Sam's research.
They should come
He's done
here
the work.
and experience
He has had
it.
scientists from the Czech Republic, from Finland, from Denmark, from Russia, and us from the United States that show that this is the story of a pyramidal community. And it's not simply a pyramid as a pyramid. No, a pyramid as a multidimensional vortex.
So come and experience it. Whoever's watching this on the internet, it's a fabulous park that he's created. It's also great archaeological work. He's even used certain types of ground penetrating radar and tomography, and the information is here if you really look at
Our
it.
website, keysofenoch.org.
I have 3 brief questions for you, very concrete. The first one, how does resonate with you the results that I presented when it comes to pyramids as energy amplifier? And this energy can be used for the communication, health protection, water improvement, food improvement, immunity, and so on.
Well, we recognize within the structure of our body the physiological and the neurological structure of our body makes use of the synapses of the brain, but also what is called by Professor Thompson, formerly at the University of California, pyramidal brain cells. So the pyramidal construct is already there within our chemistry. And so it is a natural resonance that we are attuned to by the virtue of our chemistry of life. The pyramid thus amplifies the chemistry already within our circulatory system.
But I'd like to point out something that Dr. Sam had done with our mutual colleague, Masai Imoto. He took water from inside the tunnel and he sent it to Dr. Imoto, and it came back as a beautiful geometric, I'll call it a flower, a sacred geometry, versus that which is even the city water or even other water locations. And we work with Emoto, and he was very accurate in this. So you can see the geometries. Of course, about 70% of our body is water, depending on age. And so if we have the experience of being part of that, we feel that transformation within us. There's also the negative ions connected with water. But also, we had shown in our presentation when we were here a picture from Chichen Itza pyramid, where a man was taking his two kids in front of the pyramid, and there was this pillar, this column that came up right from the center of the top of the Chichen Itza.
Fire in the middle.
Yes, and actually Dr. Sam has seen a similar resonant frequency here at 28 kilohertz. And this just shows that everything really is energy. Our bodies are walking symphonies, and when we move into places that are also in our harmonic, like here and like in the pyramids, the transformation can take place of body, mind, and spirit.
So, Dr. Sam, what is your second question?
My second question, I have presented our most recent discoveries. The first one, 3 Fibonacci spirals in the way they are laying out the structures here on the ground in the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. For example, one Fibonacci spiral starts at the top of the Love Pyramid, intersects with the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, top of Temple of Mother Earth, top of Dragon Pyramid, and top of the Tumulus. We have 3 such spirals, terrestrial. And for the first time, we have proven that best known star cluster of Pleiades has also 3 similar Fibonacci spirals, and they match. So now this is really high level of math and geometry. How would you review
Well, we
that?
could say, as a skeptic, every star cluster has billions of stars. So this would be an artificial construct that you projected in space. But if you look at the major stars, in the Pleiades, there is that Fibonacci spiral, which you find in the seashell, all the way from the microevolution to the macroevolution of the whirling galaxy. So the fact that this is illustrated in the position of the pyramids here in Bosnia would suggest that there was a greater solar astronomy, a greater understanding of the cosmic spiral of life. This would indicate a high scientific civilization at one time did exist in East Europe or Central Asia that broke apart and later, using mythological symbols, simplified the story. But we are going beyond myth and recognizing that there is a true science that connects our planetary culture with the Fibonacci process found in all nature, whether it's on Earth or in space.
And if I can say, it just really reconfirms the energy that these things are made by humanity, by humankind, I should say. Maybe not our culture, but ancient culture, because they are placed uniquely at certain locations. It's not happenstance. In fact, it was recently found through a young man from Canada that many of the pyramids of the Yucatan, all the way down to Guatemala, are placed in certain star alignments. So it is not unusual that these are not just happenstance. You know, we always think the pyramid is placed just wherever it wants to be. That's not true. What I think is really interesting, though, we're sitting here on the summer solstice of 2025, and associates of ours went to the very top of the pyramid of the sun. And in ancient times, although it's recorded, of course, in our time, so to speak, there was a castle up there. Now, why would anyone place a castle there when there's so many other mountains around here, unless there was a special energy? And unfortunately, of course, that castle is down, but I heard there were hundreds of people up there today at the beginning of the solstice.
So these vibrations that you hear in the background support our new science, vibratory archaeology, because you have to come alive with your whole body and mind, ultimately connected with the vibratory field, paraphysical field of consciousness, to understand the rhythms of life within yourself. Otherwise, it's simply dead information or abstract information, which is why Egyptologists at universities cannot comprehend this pyramidal concept, because they lack the sociology, they lack the fuller anthropology, they lack the fuller anthropology / musicology, and they lack the astronomy cosmology. Your final question, Sam?
12 years ago, we did not have bar. Today we have what we call archaeological tourist sports park Rame 2. Archaeological because we have discovered 4 entrances to prehistorical tunnels just here. Tourists, we have many visitors from all over the world. It has become cultural oasis, sports complex. Now, this is rather unusual that next to the archaeological park, you have all these other, features. But I think we are unique. This is the large, open field school, which combines education and art and spirituality and energy. Any similar places in the world, according to your experience?
Yes, our Academy for Future Science has created on a smaller scale what we would call a ecological tourist center where archaeology, sociology, psychology, and musicology come together.
In Mexico.
In Mexico, in Brazil, in Australia, and in South
But
Africa.
I have to say, nothing is like this. This is free, this is open, this is very harmonious with people sharing, and this is also a sacred area, so we're happy to be here in these times, especially close to the solstice, where we can put our energy out around the planet in a positive way. All of us need to continue from these areas and even from our own homes to put out positive energy, but this is a sacred area to do it, and I haven't seen anything like this, not as open, not as, we'll say, exciting to go into the tunnels and you can meditate, you can enjoy, you can go climb a pyramid, you can do what you really want to around here, and the people of Bosnia-Herzegovina are very loving, very caring, and all the volunteers here are excellent.
So when you put the big picture together, it's the foundations of archaeology, geology, and then sociology, anthropology, then psychology, mathematics, and higher levels, consciousness, and ultimately you realize you are the Homo Universalis, the universal mind standing atop the pyramid, be it here in Bosnia or in China, Xi'an, or in Egypt, wherever you are the capstone teaching. That's the whole aspect of all of the great philosophies and theologies that we are meant to learn and build up the pyramidal ladder of life. And when we get to the top, we share, as Sam has illustrated here, the happiness and joy of a family that is now ready to receive the cosmic family, which is my work. This is why you should go, if you're interested, to our website, the Keys of Enoch, show the pictures of the pyramids on Mars. There was once a civilization there, perhaps through climate change or a comet. That whole atmosphere was destroyed. That planet went dead, but the survivors came to this planet, according to the mythology of Africa, the Zulus, the indigenous in Brazil that we've talked to. They say at one time, our ancestors came from a sister planet that had pyramids. And so we're now putting the pieces together. And Sam, we want to thank all our guests for coming.
And let me make one last statement. You can climb up the pyramid. A friend of ours even did that at 6 in the morning, all the way to the top of the Pyramid of the Sun. You can't do that in Egypt. You can't do that in Mexico anymore. You can do it here in Bosnia. So come to Bosnia and climb the pyramids.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.